Now we can talk about The Last of Us Part 2, Will. Did you see
Yes.
anything about this?
So I realized that they were doing this too late, like basically right before I had to get ready to come here.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw some of the memes coming out of it, and by some I mean the big one.
All right, well, we'll talk about that after we
Yeah.
talk about The Last of Us. It looks freaking amazing. It comes out, I think, next week.
Jeez.
Wait.
That was fast. No, it can't be. June 19th.
Oh, okay.
The reviews go live June 12th.
Oh. Okay, so it comes out in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wait. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it comes out in 3 weeks. On a Friday. Okay, so that's I'm actually a little happier now. I need some time to breathe before I freaking jump into The Last of Us Part 2. Are you gonna play this?
I don't know if I'll be able to.
You played the first one.
Yeah, I played the first one. I like the first one. I would love to play this one, but I just don't know if I will ever have time again to sit down in the basement and play like a big AAA game because I'm a dad now. My life is over.
People were asking me if I was going to stream it, and I don't know if I want to.
That's not a game you stream. That's a game you like.
I want to be able to like experience it, you know?
Yeah, that's a game you want to experience on your own.
Yeah. I love the first Last of Us. I think it's one of the best games of all time. I think that this looks incredible. It was like a 25-ish minute state of play where they just talk all about The Last of Us and some of the mechanics and a little bit more of the story, so we know like more of what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to be spoiling anything. They left a lot of stuff out. Like they showed a little bit of story stuff, and there's still a lot of questions. Like, what the hell's Joel doing?
Yeah.
They left out a big part. They basically say like the story starts off. You're in this city. Everything they made a little civilization, and then Neil Druckmann says, then something happens, and now you're in the wilderness. So he leaves out like a huge part.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna read IGN's little summary of the state of play, so it'll pinpoint the important bits. The latest edition of PlayStation State of Play live stream focuses on The Last of Us 2. With less than a month before the sequel's release, Naughty Dog and Sony are sharing more about the highly anticipated continuation of Joel and Ellie's post-apocalyptic saga. While Naughty Dog has been sharing video updates about various aspects of The Last of Us 2, today's 20-minute look could reveal even more insight. What's different in the world of The Last of Us 2? Check below for updates, blah, 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 below. The Last of Us 2 picks up several years after the events of the first game, after they settle in the relatively peaceful settlement in Jackson, Wyoming. It looked like there was some footage of young Ellie. Like they showed like her with like a respirator and she looked young. But then it very quickly jumps to she's 19. So she's 19 at the start of this.
Right.
The game will cover expansive parts of the world, including real-life locations. And they said a lot of different weather and environments and stuff. So Ellie's going to be moving around a lot, just like in the first game.
Yeah.
The game will take place over multiple seasons and climates, from the snow-capped mountains of Jackson to the lush Pacific Northwest. It seemed like there was a big focus on Seattle. So you'll end up in Seattle. Naughty Dog has put a great bit of detail into recreating the real cities the maps are based on. Seattle will be another location Ellie visits on the journey. And I saw a freaking what's it called?
Giraffe.
I'm having a giant brain fart. We'll get back to it. Some of them made it look like California.
Okay.
But it might be Seattle. I just don't know Seattle that well. You know, one of those big wheels that passengers sit in and then go around.
Big wheels that passengers sit in. A trolley?
No. Anyway, Along with jumping, Ellie will be able to use ropes and to traverse a more open and expansive map or find hidden secrets. Naughty Dog says Last of Us Part 2 will be some of the biggest the studio's developers have ever created. Horses and boats will also help Ellie traverse the large maps. They didn't really talk about it, but there's a lot of weapon customizations. There's a silenced pistol.
Ooh.
But it sounds really loud still.
Yeah.
So it's like a makeshift silencer. It looks pretty cool.
Okay. Oh, I think I remember seeing that. Like you can use like a water bottle with like a sock in it or something.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
It looked like a Coke bottle or something.
Yeah.
The Last of Us Part 2 enemies, factions explained. They spent a long time explaining like the human enemies. And they explained some of the zombies, but it seemed more like there's going to be a bigger focus on the human enemies. The Washington Liberation Front is an armed group that originally fought to free Seattle from the military, but have become a powerful and deadly faction in Seattle since taking control of the city. Another faction Ellie encounters are the Seraphites, or Scars, a religious group of zealots that specializes in stealth combat and camouflage. It's a religious group, like a cult. Mm-hmm. And they self-inflict scars on their mouths like freaking the Joker.
Oh.
That's how you can tell that they're in the freaking religious group.
Yeah.
New infected types will be present in the sequel, such as Shamblers, a pustule-covered infected that explodes when hit. They got all these like pustules, and when you hit them, they like release like these like pores.
There's a character, one of the villains in Left 4 Dead, does exactly that.
So you're thinking of the Boomer?
Yes.
There was a Boomer in the first Last of Us.
Was there?
Yeah, it was the top tier of the infected. Was one that explodes when you kill it.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, that's what the Boomer and Left 4 Dead's like. This is not as big as a Boomer, but when you hit it, it leaks, and you can't be too close to it. The Boomer just explodes when it dies. Anyway, there was they said there was another bigger one that they didn't want to talk about yet.
Of course.
Druckmann did not share the most horrifying new infected type, but a terrifying roar can be heard over a black screen. I hope it's a T-Rex. Enemy NPCs are smarter now and can track you from your scent. They left out that that's because they have dogs. Yes. The dog can track your scent in a path. So it'll, the little listening mode that you have?
Yeah.
The little detective vision?
Yeah.
The dog will have like a line that goes to you because it'll track your scent. So you have to be a little smarter about it. Also, you can like hide in grass, but it's not like other games where you're like in Assassin's Creed where you're just invisible when you're in the grass.
Yeah.
In this, if they're kind of close to you, they'll be like, "There's a guy in the grass." They'll come get you. Last of Us combat details. Ellie's physical advantages come into play in combat. She's more agile than enemies and can dodge and counter enemies during fights. Because of the large map size, Ellie can use the environment to her advantage or avoid combat instances altogether. Allies will sometimes join Ellie during combat encounters and other parts of the game. Ellie can take down enemies with the help of friends or fight off clickers as a group. So it seems like Joel isn't a big part. It seems like Ellie's on her own for the most part, but they showed a couple of instances where you have a friend and they're your Joel, basically.
Right.
They're like your sidekick, but they're, more helpful than Ellie was in the first game. There will be a skill upgrade and weapon system that lets players create unique fighting styles that cater to their preferences, just like in the first game. Players can scavenge for parts to customize weapons. These customizations will be visually represented on your weapons. So if you the rifle sight. So on the rifle sight, for example, the scope will be added to the rifle. It seems more robust than it was in the first game. Gameplay demo. The demo begins with Ellie diving into a lake to avoid... we don't need to talk about the demo.
Right.
I don't want to spoil it for people who don't want to be spoiled. But I mean, it really didn't show much. Like, there's still a lot of questions I got about this game. But it makes me excited for it. I'm excited for this game. Again, I don't think I want to stream it. I think I want to experience it all by myself. Rockin' Val says, can Ellie swim now? Yes. Could she not swim in the...
No, she couldn't. She was she had to go on like a wood plank, and Joel had to like move it around.
You know, she's straight up. They show her straight up swimming.
Yeah,
she's learned a lot in her 8 years.
Yeah.
Ferris wheel was the word, Will, that I couldn't think of. Thanks, Trey.
All right.
There's a big Ferris wheel. Is that a Seattle thing?
Is there? I don't think so.
It reminded me of the Santa Monica Pier or something. It was probably Seattle. They can also have Ferris wheels.
Oh yeah,
They're
the Seattle Great Wheel at Pier 57.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
So again, this is one of my most anticipated. This might be my most anticipated game of the year, because who knows what else is coming out later in the year.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what else Ellie does. It looks way more violent. Like, the original game was already violent.
Yeah.
It's that the freaking like facial animations are so good, and the graphics are so good that you see their emotions before you kill them.
Yeah.
It's like there's parts in this where I was like, okay, Ellie's like, for example, okay, let's get into this. The big news that everybody found from this trailer was that The Last of Us has a PlayStation Vita in it.
Yeah, this I saw somebody is playing a PlayStation Vita before Ellie comes up and basically kills them.
So Ellie walks up behind this person and puts a knife to her throat and asks her some questions. And she's playing a Vita, and apparently it's playing the Hotline Miami soundtrack, which I didn't catch.
That's what that was. Everyone was talking about like it referenced Hotline Miami and whatnot. I didn't understand what they were getting for.
So yeah, she interrogates this person, and then you kind of feel for this person. You kind of feel like, okay, she doesn't want any trouble. But then she reaches for a knife or something, and Ellie just stabs her in the throat, and she bleeds out. And Ellie goes, Ellie's kind of like, I didn't want to do that. You know, it's like she acts like she really didn't want to just stab this person in the throat. Like she was really going to let her go.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff where I'm like, that is like, you can just mutilate zombies and it's no big deal. But
yeah,
when you see the emotion in the person's face right before they get stabbed in the throat and bleed out, that's why this game feels so much more violent than a lot of other games. Anyway, when we sat down to watch this evening's State of Play broadcast all about The Last of Us Part 2, we can't say we were expecting to be talking about the PlayStation Vita when it was all said and done. And yet, here we are talking about... here we are with the talk of the town being Sony's Forgotten Handheld and Hotline Miami. That's right. During a previously unreleased gameplay sequence, protagonist Ellie sneaks up on an enemy, taking some time for herself. Earphones plugged in with Hotline Miami soundtrack blasting. The situation quickly turns sour as Ellie stabs her in the throat. Blah blah blah. And then Hotline Miami tweeted, "Hotline Miami is available on PlayStation Vita."
I think that's where I first played it. Actually,
it belongs on the Vita.
Yeah. So I was just looking up because I was curious. So Last of Us Part 2 started development in 2014.
Ooh.
This is like 2 years after the Vita debuted in North America. So it was like, I guess, at its height, if you want to call it that. And I guess they threw that in there as like a nice little Easter egg. I'm assuming now, like, if this was any other situation, that person would be playing a Switch.
Well, I mean, they can't do that.
Exactly. So it's like, I guess it's got to stay a Vita.
When did the apocalypse happen in The Last of Us? Did it happen in 2013?
That's a good question.
Because that Vita is pre-apocalypse.
Yeah.
And the game takes place in like 40 or something.
Yeah. The outbreak happened in 2013.
Okay, so Vitas were plentiful.
Yes.
So when does this game take place?
2013 is when the apocalypse happened, and then 20 years later is when the events of the first game happened. So in 2033.
Okay.
So then this is 9 years after that game. Last of Us Part 2 is 9 years after the first.
Okay. I don't know.
You just read.
Yeah, but do you think I listen to what I read? You think I retain that information? She's 19. That's all I know.
All right, hold on a second. I hate everything. I hate math.
I'm trying to see if they give me a year on the wiki here. No, of course not. 5 years after the events of The Last of Us. So 37?
38. 2038.
Okay, so the game takes place in 2038.
Yes.
But of course, there's all the same technology and stuff as today.
Side note, the original PlayStation Vita came out in 2012, but the second model came out in 2013.
Ooh.
Sorry, it came out in North America in 2014.
But so was that? I mean, that's just the OLED one, isn't it?
The original was the OLED one. The one I have.
So that's the one that person probably has.
Is it, or is it the revised one?
You can't tell. It's the only difference is the screen.
It is shaped differently, and like the back does look different.
Really?
Yeah. There's subtle differences.
Well, you're gonna have to grab your Vita, Will, and you're gonna have to match it up with the back of what they got going on there. It better be the original. We're gonna have some continuity errors otherwise.
Yeah.
Or else that's a really expensive Vita because it would have had been imported from Japan during the apocalypse.
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Anyway, I'm excited for The Last of Us. It looks really good.
I was too, but if they get the Vita wrong, then it's a 0 out of 10 garbage game. Don't buy it. Don't give Naughty Dog your money. They're losers.